Good morning, Squadron, and welcome to Election Day and On Time, On Target Morning Brief, where we invest with fighter pilot precision every day. There are so many things that are going to be cleared up today throughout the election process, but there's also probably going to be some unknowns. As you've probably already seen, the market is up big in the futures. It was up big yesterday. That's really kind of pricing in that we're going to know who the president is tonight. I'm not so sure that's the case. I've obviously taken a more cautious approach to this election and am prepared for it to get hung up for days or even months. So we'll see. Nobody has a crystal ball for sure. But a lot of good things we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about what to do with your 401k. You know, if you're with me, I've reached out to you already and said, hey, send me your stuff. So we're ready to go tomorrow. If you're doing this at home, there's some things to think about, and we will cover that today. All right. If you're watching us on a replay, please subscribe so you can get these on a daily basis. And if you want to join us in the morning, it's $25 a month to hop on in. You've got a chat room to be able to communicate with me, and I will answer all your questions. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. All right, again, welcome to the brief. If you're here live, make sure you have your chat window open with a call sign put in it and panelists and attendees selected. That's how you can communicate with me. Also, make sure your Q&A window is open, and please pop any questions that you have on as far as during the show. Just go ahead and prop it open in the Q&A session. For everybody, this is a the standard disclaimer applies here. Financial education briefing, so you have to do your own due diligence before you act on anything that you hear this morning. All right, yep, Burner, you're right. W fallen from 300 to 256. That is one of the stocks we're going to look at. Already got the chat live, and I like that. You already see Long Wayfair, Short Baba, and PayPal are we're going to be taking a look at today. All right, back to our briefing. November 3rd, finally, election day is here, right? We'll start trying to figure this out. We've been playing it cautious for a reason. We're not going to get stupid today because we're about to find out a lot of information, if not a whole lot of information on how do we really need to position our portfolios, not just for the next few days, but possibly the next 4 years, or even of course the talk will be what's going to happen at the next election that will already start today. So we want to make sure our money is positioned appropriately and optimally to make the most out of our investments during this time. All right, mission objective is going to be to grow our money, protect our money, and live off our money. Tactically today, we're going to talk about today's election and 401k investing. If you look down a little further at the specific tickers we're going to take a look at, those are all index funds. They are the exact mirror images of the TSP fund, if you're familiar with that, for the U.S. government, that if you're only going to hold 5 index funds, these are the 5 you would have, and then you have to allocate between them. And then, of course, VTI is if you're only going to hold 1 index fund, the fire and forget. I don't want to even attempt to outperform. I'll just take a straight C, buy the fund, go back to bed, and you'll find out how much money you have when you retire, 20, 30, 40 years later. So that's what we're going to talk about today. For a question today, specifically, after we're done with the trading, I'll talk about how to achieve optimal allocation. I'm not going to have the answer for you because we don't know the scenario that we have on our hands, but I'll certainly talk to how I set that up for my clients and then how you can do it yourself if you feel like doing it yourself. All right, for our flow today, we're going to talk about long, short, open, short, long. That means we're going to talk about the market review. We're going to go around the world. You know that England is 2 days out from doing a month-long lockdown. Having talked to some of these folks on via Zoom this weekend, I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, they're literally going back to where we were back in March, and not a lot of people are talking about it here in the U.S. because the elections dominated the news cycle. So we're going to talk about markets around the world. We're going to talk about what's going on with Alibaba and Ant, the largest IPO. Go around through today's headlines, skipping most of the election headlines because you've been beat to death with those, and they're not relevant. We just need to know some answers later today. There's the long-term investments we talked about. The short-term scorecard, we're down in R yesterday. Our trade did not work. If you looked at CWH, Camping World Holdings, it went on to crush it for about 10 R later on. So really it was our entry that worked against us. Nothing you can do about that. Take the R, stay true to the methodology that we use to gain 3 Rs on good days and lose 1 R if we are incorrect. We'll execute the market open and then transition to your questions, ending up with the question of the day. If you have any issues, steve@ototnow.com is your friend to get all of your issues, or at least issues related to this Zoom meeting, resolved. All right, let's switch over to taking a look at the market and where we're at. Again, for our international folks here, we got U.S. stock market is we're looking at the S&P 500. This is the SPY. So looking at it from left to right, and the display is a little off. Let me correct this just a little bit. There we go. All right, you can see that we've run up big. A couple months ago, we started selling off into the election. That is not uncommon. We've talked about kind of to expect that. However, the market hasn't sold off nearly as much as I thought it would. I thought we'd be down there in this 300 to 320 range. I don't think we'll get there today. That would be like a 7% move down. So I think we're safe there, but we'll see. Again, we talked earlier, the markets are kind of pricing in that we're going to have a known president today. We should know Congress, right? Both the House and the Senate, or have a pretty good idea, but the presidency is the one that could hang up here. So here's where we are, kind of negative, and then it's starting to price in the fact that we're going to have a known president this evening or early tomorrow morning. Remember, if you flash back to what you were doing during the 2016 election, I was sitting there staring at the TV, half stunned, half in disbelief, and just I was 100% wrong. So going into last election, I basically reorged all the portfolios. I had a smaller book at the time, so it was a little easier to do. But I had rewickered everything, pricing in a blue sweep according to the media. I'd done everything right for that answer, and then that answer was wrong. So not only was I up all night, I fortunately had a little bit of a game plan as to how to turn around and flip those portfolios. And of course, in the past 4 years, if you've known me for 4 years, we have made a ton of money based off of flipping the next day to long. So same sort of thing here. If we have to, whatever the future holds tonight, we're going to cry it out if you need to, but we're going to position our portfolios for success and to make the most money or lose the least if that's a scenario that comes up over the next 4 years. So, or at least till we know, if it's a Democratic sweep, we need to know what's in that tax plan before we can really get crazy going back long, that's for sure. So thinking protection first and then aggressiveness later. All right, last screen I'll show you here. This will be our day trading screen. We will come back to this, but the names, Wayfair, we're looking at. Thanks, Burner, for the shout out of, yep, 300 to 265. I still think it's holding 5% plus long, and they crushed earnings. So that'll be our number one long. Bob is going to be our short. The Ant Financial IPO is off. I did get contacted by a couple of folks yesterday saying, hey, how can we get in on this? And the answer is you can't in the US markets because it's going to open in China and it's going to open in Hong Kong. And then, I wake up this morning a few hours ago and it's all off. So they found some fleas in the deal. So let them sort through all that. It'll be back. It's going to happen, just not on the timeline we thought it was going to happen. And the last one is PayPal. You look down at the bottom here, you got whiff and earnings. It's not really whiff and earnings as much as it's been a continual kind of negative story with PayPal. There's a jillion competitors in this space. All right, let's leave this screen and go over to CNBC and talk about going around the world. We'll start with our market futures here. Refresh these real quick. So Dow was up 400 when I got up. Now still holding at 300. Yeah, I'm back to the 400. There you go. Basically up 1% across the board. Tech's been a little bit of a challenge. And I think when you think about what type of investors, here are normally your riskier investors. And, I love good technology investments because that's where the real money is. Playing it close to the vest because we just don't know a lot right now before we can go in and you start buying. I mean, Amazon went below 3,000 yesterday, and the long-term investor in me was just like, I couldn't I just wanted to grab the mouse and start buying it, and literally to the tune of like $1 million or $2 worth. But wouldn't be prudent. So you need to wait for the information and see what happens. A blue sweep, maybe that thing gets broken up. I don't know. So we'll know more tonight. But that's where we are with the futures. Taking a look at Europe. Europe big across the board, completely in denial that the coronavirus is kind of running rampant over there. But that's my opinion, which is why you're here. Asia markets are up. Maybe this is all because the US is going to have a change of president or whatever. Who knows why the markets are celebrating as much as they are. Here's our numbers yesterday. It was basically it started straight up and kind of went straight up. Volatility is still pretty high, even though it was down from yesterday. Bonds, not a whole lot going on. Oil, a little bit of a pop. I don't see either scenario being good for oil. I think that is the new oil, and that will be my theme going forward, probably for the rest of the week if we can stop talking election stuff. Gold and silver, there's going to be a certain bunch of people that are buying into that. But remember, folks, we're squawking. This is why don't listen to the people on TV that say it's always a good time to buy gold. Well, first of all, it can't be always a good time to do anything, right? Okay, so get that out of your system. So when the same guy says that every night for 40 years, it can't always be a good time. He is just marketing to you. But remember, gold was up over 2,000. Silver, I think, touched 30. I mean, these things were up a heck of a lot higher as people were expecting, to have to run to these things, but they really haven't. They're up kind of, nominally here today. All right, let's get back to some of our headlines. Vote here. I haven't voted, so I have to actually get out and vote today. My wife and I talked about voting early, and then, of course, life happens and that didn't happen. So I have to get out and do that this morning. All right, here's what we're talking about as far as this Ant Group. It's going to be the largest IPO in the world, but it's not going to be here in the US. It's Shanghai and Hong Kong. So those are markets we talk about briefly in the morning, not a whole lot. If you want to buy something on a foreign market, if you're with Schwab, if you're TDA, you can't. If you're Schwab, you can. And you are going to make me miserable doing it. I did it once, and I really don't want to do it. So you better have a heck of a good plan for what we need to do to make that happen, because it's painful. Okay, let's see. Yeah, Gottlieb's been all over the news. Fauci's all over the news. I do think more about that headline yesterday. I think Trump fires Fauci either way, whether he wins or loses, whether we know it tonight or not. When the voting's done, I think Fauci's gone, because Trump likes to fire people, and he hadn't fired a lot of people in a while. So it comes down to 3 states. I'll sit there and stare at the TV with you all night long and remind myself that, boy, do we have an interesting form of government, and I think there's room for improvement. I know some of you disagree. I hear you already. That's okay. That's what makes it fun. Okay. All right. We are 8 minutes from the open. Let's go ahead and switch to our topic of the day. I'm going to switch you. Let's get rid of me and switch you over to Schwab. We're going to take a look at actually one thing before we go. FinViz stock screener, I like to bring things up. VOO is kind of the S&P 500. So if you're going to own a, S&P 500 ETF, this is how you do it. It's come in just like the other chart. It's not the same, SPY, it's a little different numbers, but it's going to pay you 1.7. This is basically your C fund if you're in the thrift savings plan. So I just want to show you that real quick. And then let's now go to Schwab, where I'll talk about the other 5. All right. So in the upper left, you have the VOO. Which is a C fund. Bond BND is your F fund. So you can kind of, it pays out monthly, accrues daily, pays monthly. You don't really see that in a thrift savings plan scenario, but that's how it's happening and accruing into your account. Okay, VB is actually your small cap index fund. So the small caps, again, in a straight up market, small caps have the performance to outperform, but they sell off hard when you're in a down market, which you're in an up market 2/3 of the time. But just realize you can get a lot more volatility out of VB. VEA is your international exposure. Again, it's Vanguard. These are all V, so or most of them are V. Vanguard is for your cheapest out there, so you're paying a couple pennies on the dollar for owning these things. Last one, if you want to go straight to cash in either a 401k or in the thrift savings plan, you go to the G fund, which is basically government treasuries. It's going to pay you a very small amount while you wait, but you do have the safety of knowing that your cash is protected out there by the United States government, which so far for my lifetime and the previous lifetimes of mine has been the best quality out there. Is that guaranteed to last forever? No, it's not. And I'm not like conspiracy guy thinking we're on the edge of our government imploding, but we're probably not headed in the right direction. So something to consider for the next, decade or two. Pay attention. We're not guaranteed the democracy, and people do get the government they deserve. So there's your foreign policy back-to-back majors on my end on to let you know that people do get the government they deserve. All right, let's switch it over to the day trading. We'll look at Wayfair first. Pulling that up here. Yeah, it's up and it's fallen. So let's see where it is right now. And top 10 in volume. Nope, nope, nope. Looking for the exact, where's the big W here? All right, I have to do the math myself. All right, 255 up to 258. So that is not gapping up our 5 to 10%. It does have the volume. It did crush estimates, so I'm kind of shocked. So, and look where this chart is. It is primed to go higher. So I still like it, even though it's fallen out. We'll have to wait for it to open before we hop in and start a way back. It's got to travel higher, probably get around this 265 or so with some momentum, and we can take it higher from there. I have some other names written down. I won't cover to you, but I might be flipping to some other names. Yeah, AMC is up 8%. Movie theaters. Nah, not going to get my money today. So let's take a look at our two shorts. Alibaba is my favorite. Now, these are high price point. These are different from the normal $5 to $10 or $20 or $100 stocks. These are a $300 stocks. You have to think, I'm going to have a $3, $4, or $5 stop instead of having 1,000 shares or 2,000 or 10,000 or whatever your normal. Be careful when you go to buy that you probably only need 100 shares or so, or 10, depending on what your R unit is. So just do some math real quick right now. If you haven't thought about that yet and you haven't traded a $300 stock, but it closed at 310. Amp Financial's fallen through. 293 is where we're sitting right now. It's got 5 million in volume. It's got plenty and a crap ton of headlines to go with it. All right, the last one we'll take a look is PayPal. Again, earnings were out and they guided basically down. There's issues with the disappointing fourth quarter outlook. Again, the earnings just came out off Q3. They're looking at Q4. There's significant concern there, and that's the company owning up to the fact that there's significant concerns out there. So, yeah, if the company's owning it, then right, interesting. So they threw that out there, and it basically started to fall. Same sort of thing. You're up at around 200 on your price point. Closed at 187. It's down here at 176 right now. It's got plenty of volume to get in and out. So get ready. So if you're looking Wayfair, you can go in an IRA. If you are looking at either BABA or PayPal or going short, then make sure you have a trading account pulled up so you can actually get in there and short. All right, let's set up our screens for this morning, and then I'll need to get mine set up as well. So what you see are 4 screens here from left to right. This is the SPY. I'm going to set this up on a 1-minute chart across the board. I already have the tickers in. I know these can be hard to see sometimes, so that's why I do have the big numbers here off to the right, so you can track that. And as you know, I try to draw on the screens if they get these pencils to work in the morning. That sounds weird, but that's what this is as I draw it up here. So I'm going to circle or zoom in on these a little bit with the relevant kind of info. And you're right, we've seen that big pop and then the big sell-off in Wayfair. We'll see. Again, north of 270, I think we would need to see that kind of recovering back higher to really get me to like it more. And again, saying $3, $4, $5 stops here for our, manage our risk. So be smart with that. Same thing with BABA. I do like the fact that it backed up to here. So if we took it around 288, you would need that. Gosh, that's a $6 stop to get above high of the day. So it would have to drop 18 bucks to the downside. So we might be doing some math on the fly here. So hang on a little bit. All right, let me get my ticker set up. I'm looking at the BABA short as my primary. So that's what I'm setting my tickers up for. So I have less switches to throw when I change my mind and go with something else. So let's get in here and let's put the ticker, get it all set up with my number of shares, and it's not as many as normal. Okay, and that is all set up and ready to go. All right, 30 seconds to go. Welcome to the on time, on target play of the day. You have 4 screens in front of you. On the left-hand screen, you have the SPY. On the middle left is Wayfair. We're going long, and then the middle right and right are both going short. There is the opening bell, so we'll be zooming in here a bit on the market first of all to kind of see how our market's going. And I see nothing moving, so I'm gonna make sure we're not frozen. Can't trade if we're frozen here. Okay, something moved. All right, I'm looking at another screen just to make sure I got what I need. So there's the Wayfair. All right, we're in motion here across the board. All right, again, looking Wayfair long. I like the fact that it came all the way down here. That's within $4 of the pre-market low. What I'm not seeing yet is the percentages across the top here. So maybe everybody in the sun is on the platform this morning, and that's why it's bogging down. I've got a good signal on mine, so it looks like we're good to go there, but I do want to see that number first before I take it long. We should see a green number pop here, a green number pop here, and then red and red. So let's zoom back out a touch on Alibaba short. All right, 1 minute in and we're not getting the same displays that we are normally getting here. Not good. Thinking about killing this and coming back in. That will cost us a good minute. I do have Wayfair pulled up on the other chart here. So I'm, again, not going to share it out to you. Well, I could share this out. Let's do this. We got Wayfair. Again, waiting for TDA to wake up. Haven't had this happen yet. We had it freeze once. We haven't had it act slow like this. Wayfair, Baba. Again, getting Schwab set up here as a contingency, and PayPal. So if you have, okay, PayPal down 6.43. Wayfair is basically even, so let's leave that behind. Baba's down 8.3, is showing 285 right now. This is not accurate, so I'm going to share out to you what is accurate. Over here, this is now Schwab coming to you. So here's where we are, and let's do some zooming if we can. So this is the day that opened already. And yeah, TDA is completely dead here. So I'm getting out of quit Think Pipes and I'm going back into Think Pipes. So no trades yet. Bet on some technology contingencies. Just like Combat though, you go in there and just to go to target run and all of a sudden stuff starts messing up on you. And you're like, well, I'm going to have to get my crap together before I make any decisions. Okay, we've got Think Pipes restarted. It will take a good minute to cook. All right, 8.7% down on Baba, 5.8% down on PayPal. If you look up here to the left, the Dow is starting to come in a little bit. We're at 309. We opened up at above 400. NASDAQ. So things are starting to float back in a little bit. All right, Think Pipes is back alive. Let me get us back over to the Think Pipes platform. And 3 minutes into the day, and we're back to where we wanted to be. Apple, come on, bruh. All right, let's get Wayfair in there, and Baba, and PayPal. Nope, not T-PayPal, just PYPL. Okay, game on. Wayfair's in the red, can't touch it, you know that. All right, let's look for an entry in Baba. I like these nice dojis up to the top here. See all kinds of volume in that. PayPal's at 6%. Man, the entry point was right there. It's at about that 177.70 when it cleared that bar. It really hasn't gone down more than a couple bucks yet, though. All right, I'm getting rid of Wayfair and pull up another short here. Let's take a look at KMT. Not much volume in KMT. Well, what's the market doing? Market is down to below 1% up. Let me check another couple of favorite names. See what Neo's doing. Neo's down a little bit. That would be a name you could turn around and go short but the market would have to go short. It's Tech Lee, Automotive, same chart, XPeng, XPEV is the ticker. Again, these are Chinese automakers that have run up, so they are primed to be short. Then I'm gapping down though. Let's turn around and look north. All right, Luckin is up 2.6%. I do kind of like that, but I'm not going to trade it though. All right, let's bail on the trading for the day. We did have some contingencies, so let's take a look at what's going on. All right, the chart you're looking at here, again, this is the 5-day on the SPY. We've got the, here's where we open. We're down a little bit. Let's look at the names are in play. Northwest Bio up 20%. Couple of psychedelic names. Those, a blue wave, and it's pot, and I mean, it's the drug stocks. Recreational medicinal type drugs are going to go higher from a taxation standpoint. It's an easy way to gather some taxes. All right, Twitter's up. JP Morgan, Delta, Workhorse getting some love. There's our Luckin we talked about. Boeing up a little bit. Saw Raytheon. Raytheon's a steal right here. I expect to buy that pretty much either way. So a lot of names in the green, up over 1%. Let's take a look and see what's in the red. Alibaba down 8.5 or 8, almost 9% there. There's our PayPal. So again, those were the two we were going to look at taking short. Nutrien down 5%. Tencent Holdings, CGC, that's Canopy Growth, marijuana name, Realty Income. Neo, we just took a look at. Asana. So there are some names in the red, but not very many. Mostly are rocking higher. Let's look at Northwest Bio real quick. I'm not going to trade it down here at a penny, but you can see that this is one of those trades where you can hop in with 10,000 shares and get her done for just having a couple pennies stop. Again, not going to do that this morning. We got a little bit behind because of the tech issues, and not going to try to make something out of it. All right, so bailing on that for the day, I do think we're going to see a major move out of the market. If we have a new president tonight, I think the market will be up tomorrow. Let's bring back up online here. So again, I think we'll be back up tomorrow if we do have a president. If we don't, or it shows that it's like really contended, or Trump saying, Trump or Biden, whoever's losing, lost, whatever, refuses to concede and says all kinds of incendiary stuff like this will be in the courts for years, stuff like that. Or Trump declares the election null and void and says we can't trust the results, so I'm going to stay president for another year. We'll try this again next November. I don't see that happening. But then again, he's got some pretty varsity moves sometimes. So that would be an interesting curveball for the country. So you do have people all over the map predicting the end of democracy to this will put our country back on the right track. So, all right, elections bring out all the crazies. All right, I'm going to share back out to you the last thing I'm going to talk about, which is the 401k optimum allocation. So let me get out of my trading account and into the right thing here. You don't need to see my account. Okay, so going back to Investopedia, this is where I answer questions of the day for everybody. So how to achieve optimal asset allocation? Well, here's basically, first what it is. The thrift savings plan, or most of your 401ks are going to have like 1,000 options, right? So, and there's going to always be some Vanguard ones that are probably your cheapest, generally the best performing. Generally that I go with those first, unless I'm very familiar with a fund. There's a couple of funds that are out there that you pay up for and are worth every penny. So you pay the managers their money because they've outperformed for a couple decades. That's, they're out there, and there's a handful. But as far as, you can get large cap, mid cap, like thrift savings plan does not have a mid cap allocation. You're not wrong to not have a mid cap allocation. So that would be one of the first ones I would cut. As far as international, there's kind of two philosophies with international. I tend to stay in the developed world, especially right now with COVID going on, because, when you think of business in the US, do the big businesses survive COVID? Sure, right? They've got big balance sheets. They have the ability to borrow cheap money. They can lay off a lot of people to cut expenses. There's a lot of different maneuverings that healthy big companies can do to stay in business. However, small companies often don't have a full quiver of arrows that they can sling at the problem. And when you think of emerging markets, you might be talking Brazil. And no offense to Brazil, I love Brazil. But it's the companies in Brazil, a gold mining company in Brazil. It's like, man, I don't know. There's a lot of upside there because they're small, but yeah, there are a lot of risk when you got a global pandemic that could come in and wipe people out. So generally, of those two, to recap, I don't generally do mid cap. I may a little bit, maybe up to 10%. Don't generally do emerging markets because they're going to invest in every crappy country out there, if you will, because that's what they're getting paid to do, and they're looking for trying to find diamonds in the rough, if you will. I kind of tend to stay out of the rough. That's me. Fixed income, sure. Money market, sure. And then the last one is real estate investment trust. You're going to see some more out of this out of my portfolios. At least I'm probably going to go 10%. There's an index fund, PPTY, out there that I really like, and it's holding real estate. So if you're out there thinking, I do like investing in real estate, but I don't really want to pay 300 to 700K, depending on where you are, for a single family home or an apartment complex, which is going to be, 500K to $1 million for a little quad complex where you live, and that's kind of a nightmare. Or you don't want to buy the, $60,000 house and try to flip it for 80. So you can invest in real estate through the open market in real estate investment trusts. I do have videos out on this. Google it, just hit YouTube. You can understand how these things work, but they pay you, these people own a lot of real estate, and then the tenants pay that company the money. And then you, as part owner of that company, are entitled to a distribution. It's Section 199 Alpha, tax favored. I hope you don't know what that means. If you do, then you're a nerd like me. But there is a tax favored status of that, or if you've seen that on your 1099 brokerage and saying, "What's that about?" It's like, all I say is real estate investment trust. Don't get spun up. Tax favored status. So those are the kind of general allocations. Your ideal, you can get aggressive or you can get safe depending on what's going on, or you can get active. I'm an active manager, so I like to position my portfolios for the optimum level of success. Some aren't. Some set it once when they go to work, their employer, and then they, like I said, close your eyes, you get what you get. Maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong. When you do that, you're never completely right or never completely wrong, so you don't have it, there's no blame game. If you're active, if you do it yourself, then you have to blame yourself if you're wrong. If you got a manager like me, then you can throw spears at me, or fire me or whatever, and other people get fired and move to me, which is what I like. Here's your risk chart definition. Don't really need to get into that too much. There's what's right for you. Again, kind of basic portfolio construction stuff. I would not necessarily do this on your own, but you can if you want. You can also pay like $100 to have somebody give you and tell you what to do. So if you don't have somebody actively managing. So that's all I have for you today. Again, big day for the election. Sorry, technology let us down today. I didn't feel comfortable taking a trade, so we're no biggie. There's always tomorrow, and we don't sit and trade all day anyway. So we'll see what sets up. So again, have fun tonight. If you are, maybe fun's not the right word. I don't know what is the right word, but have an interesting experience with the results as they come flowing in, and we'll see what the world holds for us tomorrow. So with that, I'm gonna let you guys go. You guys have a good night, and we will see you in the morning.